Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes, India says Trudeau is solely responsible for damaging Delhi-Ottawa relations after the Canadian PM admits that he has no hard evidence linking India to Nijjar's killing. The Israeli military says it's checking the possibility that it has killed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar following an operation in the Gaza Strip that it said had targeted 3 militants. A Bangladesh tribunal orders the arrest of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and 45 others for crimes against humanity. India says she came here for safety reasons and continues to remain here. And New Zealand reached 180 for 3 when bad light stopped play on day 2 of the first test in Bengaluru. Earlier, India were bowled out for a paltry 46 runs, their lowest total in home conditions. Well, first up, India's Ministry of External Affairs on Thursday claimed and said that the allegations levelled by the Canadian government as false, it was labelled as false, and that Canada has not shared any evidence with India.
We are very clear that since September of 2023, the Canadian government has not shared any shred of information with us. Yesterday, again, after the public inquiry, hearing, we had again issued a statement saying that Canada has levelled serious allegations but has so far not given any evidence to back it up. As far as the allegations are concerned, PM Trudeau's own admission yesterday would indicate the value. As regards our stance on the allegations, we will naturally reject false imputations against our diplomats. We had summoned the Acting High Commissioner of Canada, and thereafter conveyed that we had no faith that the Canadian government will look after the safety of our diplomats, and therefore we had taken a decision to withdraw our High Commissioner and along with him 5 other diplomats.
Well, in a massive embarrassment for Canada, the country's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in the early hours of Thursday morning acknowledged before a commission of inquiry that he had not provided India with concrete proof regarding the killing of terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil, to which India said Trudeau is solely responsible for damaging Delhi-Ottawa relations after the Canadian PM admitted that he has no hard evidence linking India to Nijjar's killing. And the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal also asked the Canadian government to take action against the increase in extremism on Canadian soil.
There are 26 extradition requests pending with the Canadian side. These are over the last decade or more. Along with it, there are several provisional arrest requests which are also pending with the Canadian side of several criminals. Some of the notable ones who've been charged with terror and related crimes, I would like to name them. They are Gurjeet Singh, Gurjinder Singh, Gurpreet Singh, Lakhbir Singh Landa, and Arshdeep Singh Gill. They are wanted in terror charges, as I told you, and also some related charges. We have shared security-related information with the Canadian government regarding gang members, including those of Lawrence Bishnoi gang, and requested them to arrest them and or to take due action as per law.
And on India's statement reacting to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's remarks, Canadian journalist Daniel Boardman said that they didn't come out with hard evidence. They just had some intel, and India has got justification in sticking to its guns.
There's so many scandals that this Indian scandal will be lost within the noise of the next scandal, which should debut in a week or so. And that's, But a win for India. They didn't come out with hard evidence. They came out with intel, and India gets to stick to its guns. And what's the world going to do? Embargo India? Start a trade war with India where we have the problems of Iran and Russia and the rest of the Middle East to deal with? China? No.
And in addition, Member of Canadian Parliament Chandra Arya has released a statement highlighting the problem of violent extremism in Canada. In a video released on X, the MP also urged all levels of the Canadian government to address the issue.
In Canada, we have long recognized the serious problems of Khalistani violent extremism. Let me be clear, any actions or involvement by foreign state actors within Canada in any form are unacceptable. As Canadians, we do not wish for Canada to interfere in the domestic affairs of other countries. Likewise, we do not want foreign governments interfering in Canada's domestic matters, including those involving Khalistani extremism. This is a Canadian problem, and it is a duty of all levels of our government and our law enforcement agencies to address it.
And closer home, Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal on Thursday issued an arrest warrant for former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, citing her alleged involvement in crimes against humanity that took place during the demonstrations in which hundreds were killed. The protest, which began as a student-led movement against public sector job quotas, escalated into some of the deadliest unrest since the country's independence in 1971, resulting in over 700 deaths and numerous injuries, and the ultimate ouster of Sheikh Hasina from the country. And speaking on Bangladesh court's order on Sheikh Hasina's arrest warrant, India's Ministry of External Affairs on Thursday said that India has seen some reports and didn't have any further comment to offer, except for saying that she came here in an emergency situation and continues to be here.
On the stay of the former Prime Minister, I had earlier mentioned that she had come here at a short notice for safety reasons, and she continues to be. Limited visa operations are on. Limited visas for medical reasons, emergency reasons, etc. are being given by our High Commission. As and when law and order situation improves and the situation becomes conducive for us to have full operations of a visa, we will do that. We had issued some statements during the puja celebrations. We saw there was a lot of violence against the minority community, against the Hindu community. There was violence against puja pandal. We call upon the interim government that assurances that they have given for protection of minority rights, for those must be implemented, and so that people can feel safe.
Now, the Israeli military is investigating whether it has killed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, a key figure in the 7th of October attack on Israel. His identity has not yet been confirmed. Israel has already targeted several Hamas and Hezbollah commanders, intensifying regional tensions. If confirmed, Sinwar's death could escalate conflict as Israel responds to recent missile attacks linked to Iran. Hamas recently appointed Sinwar as its leader, reinforcing its militant stance, and named him as successor to former political chief Ismail Haniyeh, who was assassinated in Tehran. Sinwar has been in hiding in Gaza, defying Israeli attempts to kill him since the start of the war. Now let's talk about the U.S. presidential elections as Donald Trump and Kamala Harris clash for the White House in the U.S. presidential polls. Voters are keen to find out which of the two candidates offer a better economic future for the nation. DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh has filed this exclusive report from Wall Street in New York. Take a look.
We are at the iconic Wall Street in New York. It is considered as an epicenter of global trade and economy, home to major financial institutions. Right behind me, you can see the New York Stock Exchange. There is, of course, the Fed Reserve and major banks. As the United States prepares to elect its new president, state of the economy is taking center stage. Some 81% of registered voters say that economy is going to play a key role in deciding who they're going to vote for.
America, Kamala Harris.
As the campaigning for US presidential elections enters the final phase, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris continue to project themselves as the best candidate to take the US economy on the growth trajectory. Trump is focused on the idea of US dominance over foreign competitors like China. His economic plan has largely focused on deregulation in the energy and financial industries, touting the much better inflation during his presidency than Biden's. Vice President Kamala Harris has pledged to build an economy that is both pro-business and helps the middle class as she pushed back against Trump's claims that she is advancing communist ideas. I speak to Professor Suresh Naidu, an economist from Columbia University, to understand the situation on the ground.
I think a single one that's both real and perceived is the high price of housing, particularly in core metropolitan cities like New York, like San Francisco, like Chicago. And so that issue of the high price of housing, I think, is a real one, as well as high prices of sort of other things like healthcare and education. But, you know, I will also say that for and those are long-term kind of structural things. There's another perception of inflation, and the inflation was very real and very persistent, but it's also the case that wages rose for most workers in a rate that outpaced inflation. So I think and if you look, you'll see that perceptions of inflation are also highly correlated with your party. So Republicans think that there was much more inflation than Democrats do.
The policies debated in election campaigns have implications not just at home, but for the global economy and partner countries like India as well.
As Trump has made a statement that he will have tariffs put in, yes, India will get impacted. But then what happens is India also is importing substantial amount of goods and services from US. So there could be a reciprocity. And I think putting tariff does not help economies. It hurts the consumer on both sides.
The ball is now in the court of voters who will decide the best candidate to take the reins of the world's most powerful economy. With camera person Jay Shankar, Shubhendu Ghosh's report for DD India in New York.
Let's now get you some more updates from around the world. A bus carrying Japanese tourists in Turkey crashed in the central province of Afyonkarahisar on Thursday, injuring 22 people. The group was en route to Cappadocia when the driver lost control, causing the bus to topple onto its side. Several Sydney beaches, including Bondi, were closed on Thursday after hundreds of black balls believed to be toxic washed up. Cleanup crews in protective gear are working to remove the debris. Preliminary tests suggest the items are tar balls, which is lumps of oil and debris. World-famous K-pop star J-Hope of BTS has been discharged from South Korea's military after 18 months of service. Hundreds of fans eagerly awaited outside the army base to greet him, celebrating the return of their beloved artist. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live, President Draupadi Murmu attends a business roundtable on a maiden Indian state visit to Malawi to strengthen ties with the African nation. European Council Chief Charles Michel urges EU members to speed up support for Ukraine as Zelensky pitches his victory plan in Brussels.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, in the final leg of her three-nation visit in the African continent, President Draupadi Murmu landed at the Kamuzu International Airport, Lilongwe, Malawi. In this first ever state visit from India to Malawi, the President was received by Malawi's Vice President Michael Usi and other dignitaries. She was accorded a ceremonial welcome and was warmly greeted by children as well. A traditional cultural performance was also presented before the President at the airport. India's President then attended the India-Malawi Business Roundtable on Thursday in Lilongwe. While addressing the roundtable, she highlighted that in 2024, India and Malawi are going to celebrate 60 years of diplomatic relations, and that India is currently the fourth largest trading partner of Malawi, and it is also one of the largest investors in Malawi.
This year also marks the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Our partnership is not confined to governments alone, as Africa has emerged as an important trade and investment destination. India's private sector is at the forefront of driving this impetus. There are growing investments by Indian companies, both multinational and SMEs in Africa, in a range of sectors.
Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a ceremony in celebration of International Abhidhamma Divas and recognition of Pali as a classical language at New Delhi's Vigyan Bhavan on Friday. My colleague Akshay Dongre gets us this report.
In the presence of hundreds of Buddhist monks from various parts of the world, Prime Minister Narendra Modi celebrated International Abhidhamma Divas on Thursday. The celebration emphasized India's efforts to highlight its rich culture and civilization by reviving the legacy of Lord Buddha. The event, held at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi, also celebrated the recognition of Pali as a classical language.
21वीं सदी का ये समय आज विश्व की जियो पॉलिटिकल परिस्थिति आज एक बार फिर विश्व कई अस्थिरताओं और आशंकाओं से घिरा है। ऐसे में बुद्ध न केवल प्रासंगिक है बल्कि अपरिहार्य भी बन चुके हैं। भारत ने विश्व को युद्ध नहीं बुद्ध दिए हैं।
PM Modi also highlighted the important decision made by the Government of India to recognize Pali as a classical language.
हर भाषा से उसके मूल भाव जुड़े होते हैं। इसलिए भगवान बुद्ध की वाणी को उसके मूल भाव के साथ जीवंत रखने के लिए पाली को जीवंत रखना ये हम सबकी जिम्मेदारी है। मुझे खुशी है कि हमारी सरकार ने बड़ी नम्रता पूर्वक ये जिम्मेदारी निभाई है।
The Buddhist monks present during the celebration hailed the decision by the government, stating that the recognition of Pali will help in spreading the teachings of Lord Buddha.
Now the government will give fund to develop the Pali language, to spread the Pali language among the common people, because nowadays we see nobody use the Pali language as a daily language.
PM Modi, while addressing the gathering, also said that all locations associated with Lord Buddha in India and Nepal are being developed into a Buddhist circuit. He also highlighted the importance of Lord Buddha's teachings in today's world and how his teachings can bring peace and a healing touch to a world engulfed in war and chaos. In New Delhi, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
Now, Vision 2030 of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia seeks to build on the strong bonds between expatriate communities in Saudi Arabia and the Saudi society. Under this vision, Saudi Arabia has launched Global Harmony Initiative. So how is the spirit of integration and harmony evident in bilateral cooperation in the education sector? DD India's Munmun Bhattacharya reports from Riyadh.
An Indian school in the heart of Riyadh. The students that you see here are wards of members of the vibrant and sizable Indian community residing in the capital of Saudi Arabia. Some students can be seen outside their classrooms, some playing basketball and some badminton. While this was the first franchisee of Delhi Public School that was established in 2004 in this Arab country, the foundation of the first Indian international school in Saudi Arabia was laid way back in 1982. This was after the Saudis allowed the opening of such schools for students of the Indian diaspora and gave Indian authorities a free hand to run them. Schools like this one are run by the Indian community and are supported by the Indian Embassy. They are CBSE affiliated and follow CBSE guidelines laid out in India. Teachers that teach in these schools are qualified professionals that belong to the Indian community. Some Arabs teach here too.
The Saudi Arabian government and especially the Ministry of Education, they encourage Indians to open schools and they extend all kind of facilities and services to the schools. Particularly, they have allowed the female teachers to be employed by the schools, which was not the case earlier. So that has come as a big relief to the Indian diaspora schools.
Today, there are 38 Indian schools affiliated to CBSE in Saudi Arabia. Together, they cater to nearly 100,000 Indian students. These schools come under the umbrella of the Saudi chapter of CBSE. One of them, India International School Dammam, had even made it to the Guinness Book of World Records for enrolling the highest number of students at 18,000 in any secondary school in India or abroad. But the COVID-19 pandemic led to a dip in numbers 5 years ago. Today, the numbers have picked up again. Such cooperation between India and Saudi Arabia bodes well for the welfare of the Indian community in this Arab country. The school that you see behind me is an international private school from India, DPS Riyadh. It stands testimony to the growing educational cooperation between India and Saudi Arabia. This is also a projection of a changing Saudi Arabia, which is more integrated with the outside world, particularly with friendly countries like India. With cameraman Pramod Negi, this is Munmun Bhattacharya from Riyadh for DD India.
The British Parliament on Thursday paid tribute to former One Direction singer Liam Payne after the star died at the age of 31 in Buenos Aires. The singer was found dead after he fell from a third-floor hotel room balcony in Buenos Aires, triggering an outpouring of tributes from fans. The Argentinian police has said they discovered Payne's body after an emergency crew responded to a call in the upscale neighborhood of Palermo on Wednesday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky arrived in Brussels on Thursday to present his victory plan. Zelensky met with European Union leaders at the summit. The Ukrainian president assured that his proposed plan could end the war with Russia no later than next year. Through the victory plan, Zelensky pitched NATO membership invitation and increased in military support for Ukraine. European Council President Charles Michel urged EU members to speed up support for Ukraine. Leaders of European Union's 27 member countries are in Brussels for a two-day meeting. Sports now in India were bundled out for a dismal 46, which is their worst total on home soil, as New Zealand's fast bowlers ran amok in overcast conditions. The tourists got to 180 for 3 at stumps on the second day of the rain-hit opening test on Thursday. New Zealand swelled their lead to 134 runs and will eye a big total to improve their chances for a first win over India in the country since 1988. Devon Conway took the attack to the hosts with a bold approach during his 91, while Rachin Ravindra was unbeaten on 22 and Daryl Mitchell was on 14 not out at stumps. Earlier, Matt Henry bagged 5 for 15, while fellow speedster William O'Rourke took 4 for 22 to bundle India out shortly after lunch. And that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.